Hey Taylor, good to talk to you.
Thank you.
Well, I know that it had to have been, a long, 2 months for you, being out. Just what was it like to be back out there with the guys again? And you played pretty well. Probably a little bit of rust there, but what'd you think of your performance and just what it was like to be out there with the guys again?
It was exciting to be back out there with my teammates and try to help us win a game. It's frustrating sitting on the sidelines when, you want to be out there and be with your friends and, be out there competing. I thought my performance was solid. Obviously not having played a game at all this year um, wasn't wasn't my best, I would say, but it was solid. So something to build on moving forward.
Thanks.
Justin.
Hey Taylor, what's the most difficult part to shake off in terms of rust when you have just such a small practice window before you've got to go play a meaningful game as opposed to maybe a preseason contest?
I would just say the timing. I've played enough football to understand football, but there's nothing like game speed timing. Um, that'd probably be the only thing.
And then I know you're not a guy that's oblivious, and so when you're out and Panay's playing well, fans talk and sports talk radio finds topics to discuss, and your future becomes this conversation piece suddenly. Move Taylor to right tackle or trade Taylor Decker, and I'm just curious when you see something like that, and you're on the sideline, it's outside of your control right now. What are some of the emotions that maybe go through your mind during that time?
Well, frankly, I feel like the narrative of negativity surrounding my name all year pretty much has been I don't feel like it's been deserved. I do feel like people within the building, and I do feel like a lot of fans appreciate me and what I can do for this team. But yeah, the media pretty much all year has been pretty negative around me, and so I'm not going to act like I like that. I think it was. I've played a lot of football here, and I think I played well. So that's that.
And I mean, just to clarify, I mean, when you say the media, I mean, what are you specifically referencing? I mean, is there, where do you hear this? Where does this stuff get to you?
Well, people send me things. I don't go out there and I search for myself. And having to sit down and have a conversation with my dad that it'll be okay if something were like that to happen, even though it's not going to. And my friends calling me, worried. I'm like, I'm playing in the NFL. It's okay. But having my parents call, my parents be concerned and them upset, and my friends and my family, and people in my neighborhood that I see outside when I'm walking my dogs to just have to deal with all that. When, as far as I understand, there was a zero possibility of me not being a Detroit Lion this year. It's just really frustrating. And I feel like a lot of those articles are being written for clicks and being grandiose and over the top. And I don't understand, and I never will understand why there was so much negativity surrounding me and my name. I don't feel like it was deserved whatsoever.
Hey Taylor, as always, really appreciate your frankness and your honesty.
Mhm.
Dave.
Yeah, Taylor, it sounds obviously that hits you on a very personal level, and I think maybe sometimes people forget that. I don't know. Can you expand on that a little bit? Just the, I think people hold NFL players right up on this pedestal. Maybe they don't realize that it does impact you personally. Some of that talk. So.
Well, I think to a degree we are in a high performance business and we get compensated well for what we do. So are we going to be scrutinized? Absolutely, 100%. But I hadn't played a snap on the field at all this season, and over the past few years, I've played at I would say a pretty high level. So I just was like, where is this coming from? I think the narrative should be that our O line can be really, really good. Obviously there was a stretch of time that me and Frank were out, and we used to have guys all across the O line playing at a really high level. But yeah, it's just frustrating. Not that I'm concerned, because like I said, never in my mind was there a possibility of me not being a Detroit Lion. But just people that care about me, they get concerned about it. And I'm like, I shouldn't have to talk to my parents about whether the team and the city that has become my home is going to trade me or get rid of me. I shouldn't have to talk about that. I just think it's kind of ridiculous. And like I said, I think people in this building, and I think a lot of the fan base appreciates me. And I do think they know what I can bring to the table. But for some reason, I mean, and I'm not saying it was 100% of the media, but a lot of the media were just hammering this narrative of basically to get rid of me when I want to be here and I want to help turn this organization into a winning organization. And that I've said that from day one, and I've never faltered on that. So I just will never understand why, and nobody will be able to explain to me why. It's just frustrating.
So how does that get? So do you see it and then go to management and ask if there's anything to it? Do they come to you when it's out there? How is that sort of?
You cut out on the first part of that.
I'm sorry. I was just asking like how that's handled. What do you see it and go to management and say, is there anything to this? Do they come to you and say, hey man, don't ignore the noise. There's nothing. How is that? How does that shake?
I wasn't going to be concerned about it until somebody gave me a reason to be concerned about it. So in my recovery process, I was focused on getting healthy and staying in shape, doing whatever I could skill work wise to be able to come back and play. Because, obviously I haven't played in 2 months, and it's not like I'm going to be 100% polished and at my best, but I can do things outside of practicing to try and make sure that I'm prepared myself. So, I wasn't going to be concerned unless the Detroit Lions gave me a reason to be, and there wasn't.
They did leave it briefly open that Penei might stay at left tackle, though. I don't know if did you address that with Dan? Did you bring that up to Brad or anybody?
I mean, as far as I knew, when I came back, I was going to be playing left tackle. And then that's the message I was getting from Hank and Dan and everybody pretty much all along.
The other question I guess I had was, I got a lot of this. I don't think people understand, how important a hand is to an offensive lineman, right? Because I got a lot of, it's a finger, Ronnie Lott cut a finger off or put it in the cast, some of those things. Can you just explain what happened and, why it was impossible to use, how much that hand means to you as a left tackle?
Well, I think the Ronnie Lott thing, people think that he just cut it off like the day before a game. There's a little more to it than that. I mean, just anybody that works with their hands, the surgeon told me it'd probably be about 3 months until I would regain strength and mobility in my hand. And, obviously I tried to come back earlier than that, and it didn't go well. Like, I had a full spiral fracture that rotated and shortened, and I had to get 5 screws and a plate put in my hand. So, they told me 3 months, and I'm playing in 2 months. And, I did everything I could to try and be back out on the field. And frankly, it was also insulting that people acted like I just didn't want to play and wanted to be out for the entire season. So yeah, having your hand's really important. And if you have one finger that's not functional and you have to cast it with the second one, and then you only have a ring finger and a pinky to grab people that are 275 pounds that run a 4.6, that's hard to do. That's hard to do. And even yesterday, my hand's not at 100% yet, but it's tough. You need to be healthy. You can't have things that are bothering you to play NFL football, and everybody's banged up. But when it's a legitimate injury and I'm told the timeline by the surgeon, I'm going to go with that timeline by the surgeon, because they're an expert at that and a specialist at that, and that's what they do.
Yeah. And you did, obviously try to come back early. So what was that, that couple week period like, obviously when you gave it a run and the finger wasn't quite there, and now it sounds like it's maybe still not 100%, but you're fighting through it for the team, for the,
yeah, I tried to come back early, and my hand was casted up, and I played one play of practice and team and did something to the UCL joint and the knuckle. But we couldn't see it on the MRI because there's so much metal in there that you can't read the MRI. But my hand blew up. It was very swollen. I lost all the mobility that I had gained in my hand. So then at that point, it's like, all right, we need to let this thing calm down. And then we'll, try again, get you back out there. So that's what we did. And I think that was the smart thing to do, instead of trying to rush it, because when I went back and saw the surgeon, she said, you know, you should probably give it a couple weeks or you could cause permanent damage or break it again. So.
And now do you have full, do you have full mobility?
I want to say full mobility. I mean, it's decent, you know, decent mobility, decent strength. I think like the grip strength's like 50 pounds off my right hand still. So there's like a 50 pound discrepancy between the two. So that, and then just trying to keep the swelling out while playing football. But you know, all things considered, it's doing pretty well.
Very last thing, how do you think Penei has played? And part two to that is, you know, we talked a lot early in the season about how good this line could be, you know, preseason when he was drafted, and having, you know, all five of you, just, you know, what do you see right now of the group that's out there and how good you guys were the other day too, yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, I think Penei's played awesome. Obviously there's been games where he's taken his lumps. You know, everybody knows about it, but there's been stretches where he's played really, really well. And, you know, even in those games where he may not have played as good as he wanted to, he would show flashes of the kind of player and the kind of ability he has. And I'll also say that, like, I love that kid. I love the guys in our room. They're great. And he's going to be a hell of a player for a long time. We got a lot of good guys that are good teammates in that room, and it's a fun room to be a part of. You know, obviously it was my first time being out there yesterday playing with everybody, but you know, the energy and the confidence that we have as a group up front is pretty impressive. And I think we can be a good group for years to come. Missed having Frank out there. I told Frank that today. I missed him. Evan did a great job, but you know, Frank's one of my best friends. You know, I think everybody knows that. But yeah, it was just fun to get out there and compete and try and help the guys win. And, you know, I think, you know, our identity is, we want to be able to be the bully out there on the field and run the football. And hopefully we can continue to do that, because I think we got the guys up front to be able to do that.